Testing. Still having the phone. Okay, let me test. Oh, okay, working on technical issues. Testing. Okay, testing. Okay, great. Now we're good. Okay, aloha everyone. Can you believe it's 2 weeks until Christmas? I can't believe it. Thank you for coming today. We are going to open the meeting and is Dr. Soma here? If she isn't, Stephanie is going to read the vision and mission. Soma, are you on yet? No. Stephanie, are you on?
I am.
Okay, thank you.
Aloha, aloha mai kako. I am excited to share our vision of creating a sustainable early learning system that partners with families to ensure that every child is healthy, valued, and successful in school and life. Our mission is to support children's academic and lifelong well-being by directing and supporting the Executive Office on Early Learning for an effective, coordinated, high-quality early learning system from prenatal to kindergarten entry.
Mahalo, Stephanie. Good to see you. Okay, next we have, well, you know what? I have to do roll call first. Let me do roll call. Well, before the roll call, are there any announcements from any of the board members at this point? Okay, I'm going to go through roll call. Alana Souza. She's on maternity. Kau'i Burgess.
Aye.
Cheryl Kuriyama is not able to come today. Soma, when Dr. Soma gets in, please let me know so that we can, because we need her for quorum. Dr. Lindsay. Thank you. And Stephanie is here. I'm here. Dana Luca.
Here.
DHS. Thank you. Disa, Haugi, DOE. Diana, Dolier.
I'm here.
Okay, hello. Nakua, Rose Hill.
Aloha, here.
Yay. Yay, good to see you. Steve Schatz, UH. No? Okay, how about Dr. Matt Shim?
I'm here, thanks.
Okay, mahalo. No, Ben can't be here. Dr. Ephraim Schwab.
Here.
Okay, mahalo. I'm going to ask for comments on the minutes. We will be able to vote on them once Dr. Suma comes, because then we will have quorum. But October, so what happened last month was for the first time we didn't have quorum, so we could not pass the October minutes. We didn't have any corrections last month, but does anybody this time have any corrections or edits to the October minutes? I know it was like 2 months ago, like who can remember? Okay, not hearing any, I'm going to ask if there are any corrections or edits to the November minutes. Okay, I'm not hearing anything. Hey, and Kevin, can you let me know if he's been so Mackenzie? Okay, thank you. So we will vote on that on the minutes once we have quorum. I know Soma said she had another meeting, so she will be here, but not right at the beginning. So we will come back to that. And mahalo to Tara for taking the minutes, and there's like, wow, no edits or corrections. So thank you very much. Okay, so next item. Oh, public comments on the minutes. Anything from the public about October or November minutes? Nothing in chat, yeah? Okay, we'll go on. Okay, so we've had quite a busy month. Unfortunately, Cheryl can't be here today. So when she joins us again, she will report on the Board of Education Oahu meeting that she attended in October. And also she was at the Bill conference in LA just last week. But again, she'll catch us up when she gets back with us, hopefully next month. So I will ask Kau'i Burgess to share a couple highlights from the Bill conference.
Aloha kako. First of all, that was my first time going to the Build conference, and I really enjoyed it. I told multiple family members that must have been one of the best conferences I had ever gone to. I thought that I guess the level of information, there was just so much information. But okay, not to drag it on, but two highlights that I have was one actually came from one of the last sessions I sat in was actually hosted by a group from Hawaii, from the island of Maui. And one thing that stuck with me was I was able to see how impactful Native Hawaiian culture could the impact that Native Hawaiian culture could have on non-Native Hawaiian individuals. The presenters of that session did the normal protocol that we do here at home all the time. And, we eat, we breathe, we do protocol, right? It's a normal way of life. But there at the conference, I was able to see people who don't do that on the normal and don't do that constantly. And so it was great to see how people's eyes welled up with tears and they didn't know what was happening at the end. So this was such a big highlight for me because I just don't get to see this kind of interaction because at home we do it all the time. But and normally, of course, I'm in Native Hawaiian settings, but there in Los Angeles, I was able to see in a huge circle of people, majority not from Hawaii, and people were crying in the circle, introducing themselves, and then at the end of the session, one woman said, she couldn't say it respectfully, so she said, I'll just paraphrase. She said, "What happened? What was that happened to me? I don't know what happened. I don't know what went through me. I was crying. I forgot who I was, and I was a white woman." She said, "I'm a white woman from," and I can't remember what state it was, but she felt something spiritual, and it was just wonderful to see. So sorry for the long story, but that was a highlight for
Yeah.
me. It was great to see the power of protocol, Native Hawaiian culture, and our normal practices that had that, you know, the impact that can happen on others. Another thing happened on the first day, which was I sat in the session for presented by, forget the title of it, it's in my notes here somewhere, but it was presented by First Five First 5 Years Fund. And it was just so wonderful to see that there's a group there. I mean, I knew that there were groups at the federal level that we could advocate with, but it was wonderful to sit in a session with them to hear what they were sharing about advocating for 2026. And they were looking for groups to advocate with them, specifically from different states. And so I think as part of just a group from Hawaii not being as powerful at the federal level as other states, I just really felt it would be wonderful and great for us to collectively advocate with First 5 Years Fund. Anyway, that was my two highlights. Took like 15 minutes, but thank you.
Thank you. Dana Luca.
Okay, hi. I'm gonna stay off camera. My internet has been a little spotty today,
Okay.
but I also, yeah, this was my first time attending the Build conference. There were so many sessions to choose from. And I felt like it was really rich. And I think if we are able to attend next year, I would bring some of my staff with me. So two highlights. I attended the right sizing licensing regs, centering impact, not just compliance session. And it talked about shifting the narrative from like requiring detailed documentation to streamline compliance. So weighing regulations, things like paperwork versus staff child ratio or environmental hazards, and just giving, more weight to the latter things. So they talked about how some states were using like the Likert scale. And then we participated in a tri-census model where there were 3 different groups, and we went through 2 rounds with the goal of reaching consensus within 2 rounds. But if consensus was not reached, then the majority, we went with the majority. So basically they gave us like a rule requirement. I was in the regulatory group, and then there was a provider group and a parent group. And so we had to weigh the requirement, whether or not we thought that that was a high level, medium, or it shouldn't even be a requirement. And so it was very interesting to see the different perspectives from the 3 different groups. And I thought that it was really relevant because our child care search portal, our DHS child care search portal, we're working on prominently displaying health and safety violations. And so we're in the process of working with federal TA partners on figuring out how to weigh certain requirements. So maybe we'll use one of the methods that I learned from the session to determine the different weights of rule requirements. And then the other session I attended was Seizing the Moment, Advancing Workforce and Young Child Wellness in Early Childhood Systems. So this session, Keiko from Department of Health and I attended. And so we are currently working together on an infant and early childhood mental health consultation service. to provide our licensed and registered providers. So this session focused on Texas, Pennsylvania, and California, how they're implementing and expanding their infant and early childhood mental health consultation statewide. It was really interesting to hear about Texas. So they're just starting to implement their consultation statewide. They did a cross sector so like early intervention, behavioral health, early care and education, Head Start, home visiting. So they brought all these entities together and they were tasked with thinking about sustainability, and how they approached it was they had to approve language of Texas core values, and they created a statewide manual for infant and early childhood mental health. And so I was looking at Keiko was looking at me, and we were like, oh my gosh, there's a lot that we didn't think about. And then Pennsylvania, they expanded their statewide infant and early childhood mental health consultation program as part of their CQI, continuous quality improvement pathway. And so I know that we've also been talking about including that in a voluntary CQI system. And that's it. Thank you. Thanks, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you for that information. And you can see that it was a really worthwhile conference, and we were thankful for the PDG Birth Through 5 funds, because that's what allowed so many of us to go. And I know I'm going to share a couple of highlights from me, and then Yuko and Jen were also there from EOBL. But you're going to share in your section about the conference, or you wanted to share after?
We don't have it in, I don't think we have it in this month, but maybe next time.
Next time?
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, one of the things I did was I was representing Dr. Terry Locke in the session that was put on by the Early Childhood Education Collaborative, because Terry and her team wrote papers on the ECE3 project, and how, because the Early Childhood Education Collaborative had funded the ECE3 project. And I was really honored to represent Terry, because on the slide that shows the organizations, there's these national organizations, and then there's College of Ed, UH Manoa. And so it was really a significant showing for UH, for our state. And I was very honored to represent Terry. And it was a panel of 4 people, and we got good feedback on it. So that was really exciting. And the other thing I want to share is that, you know, at conferences, a lot of it is about your talk story and how you get to know people. And we figured out there were a lot of people from Hawaii going to conference. So Yuko took on coordinating a get together one evening. You know, she figured out there were 34 people from Hawaii at this conference. So it's like a huge number from Hawaii. And so Yuko did, you know, coordinate like in the 3 days before we got there, figuring out emails, finding places that could accommodate up to 34. I think we had about 17 people at the end. But, you know, it was really a great time to network, even among email, because then, you know, people are seeing, yeah, UEL is there for all of us. And so I really wanted to thank Yuko for that opportunity and that coordination and building of relationships. So that was really nice. So thank you everybody for going. And there were other things. I learned a lot about mixed delivery systems, and we will keep working on that. And Cheryl will share next time, and Yuko and Jen share next month on what their highlights or what they learned, because we all got a lot of information from this conference. So any questions from board members to anyone about the things that we talked about? Okay, oops, I was gonna say, any questions from the public? Okay, we'll go on to the next. Oh. Soma came? Okay, oh, great. So Dr. Soma is here. So we have quorum, we have 5 of us, and I'm the 5th one, so I will be voting. Usually I don't vote, but I will be voting on this issue. So we're going back to voting on the minutes. So first, we will vote on the October minutes. Actually, first, let me ask, Soma, do you have any comments or edits on the October minutes?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. So I'm gonna go through the voting member roll call. So this is for the October minutes. Kauai, Burgess,
Yes.
Soma,
Aye.
Lindsay. Aye. I said Joni couldn't be here today. She's usually one of our steady members. Stephanie.
Aye.
Hey, mahalo, and Elaine, yes, aye, okay. Now we'll go to the November minutes. Soma, do you have any comments or edits for the November minutes?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Kauai,
Aye.
hey, Soma,
Aye.
Lindsay, aye. Stephanie,
Aye.
and Elaine, aye. Okay.
I'm sorry, I just want to let you know I wasn't there, so I can't really vote on it. But I agree. I just want to make it clear that I was absent. But
Okay, but,
I read it and it
Yes.
seems correct.
okay, thank you, thank you. Okay. Okay, so I'll give it over to you, Cole. Oh, no, I forgot the board member updates. I'm sorry, Yuko, because I went. Okay, so thank you to, mahalo to Dana for reminding me. Okay, let me see if I can do it. So Kevin, after, a year and a half, I'm finally kind of getting this. Okay. So, Dana reminded me that this was a regular item on the agenda from the previous board, and we haven't had this, and I think this is a really great opportunity because our ex officio members have significant amounts of information about our early learning system, and this will be a regular item on our agenda. So if any board members have updates on early learning system activities and initiatives, please go ahead. Whoever wants to.
Aloha kako, this is Napua. Can you hear me?
Yes, not.
Sorry, I'm having camera issues today.
Okay.
But I do have an update that I want to share, and I think all of us are tracking NHEP funds and the funding cliff that's going to be happening very shortly in the next year. And the update that I do want to share is just how much that is going to affect our FCIL programs. FCIL programs run on a mixture of NHEP funds, philanthropic dollars, as well as some public support. But with the funding cliff that's going to happen for the next school year, we're going to transition from approximately 64 FCIL sites statewide to 3. So the funding cliff is going to greatly impact our early learning system in the state of Hawaii. And FCLs are amazing programs for various reasons. And I'm a firm believer in the program, but what also is extremely concerning is the workforce. They currently have approximately 194 practitioners, classroom practitioners employed. And once the funding cliff happens and we transition from the 64 sites down to 3, we'll have roughly 9 to 12 practitioners. And what I am extremely afraid of is that if that workforce leaves, the odds of them returning back to ECE is extremely slim. We know this is an extremely high paying career. I'm not. So I'm worried that they will find a job somewhere else, and our overburdened ECE workforce will be further burdened, and we will have greater gaps in classrooms, not only in FCIL classrooms, but also in our preschool system. Oftentimes, FCILs is an incubator for early learning professionals. They come as mothers with maybe very slim intention of immediately returning to the workforce, and then they find their love in ECE, and then they become an FCIL classroom employee. And then as their child transitions on into elementary, we find that these professionals start to advance their career, get an AA, then get a BA, and they end up in our pre-K classrooms. So that is something for our early learning board to really consider, is the great impact in the absence of FCILs for our families, but also the impact to the workforce that it could have. So mahalo nui.
Yeah, that's a big issue. So mahalo for giving us some solid numbers on that. It's pretty sobering. I saw Dana, you had your hand up.
Oh, yes. Thanks, Elaine. Okay, so I just wanted to report on behalf of my colleague, Stacy Tonouchi, in the Child Care Subsidy Program Office. The department will not be able to accept applications for 2-year-old children as we had anticipated from January 1st, 2026. Our Attorney General's office informed us that once our administrative rules have been approved, then we can start accepting applications for the 2-year-old population. So we're going to have messaging that the preschool open doors first come first serve application period closes on January 31st or until funding capacity is reached for the 2025 to 2026 school year. Once the proposed administrative rules are adopted, then eligible 2-year-old children may apply. Please check back with the department in the new year on the status of the rules and application period for the 2026 to 2027 school year. And then if there are any questions regarding the POD program, Stacy is supposed to jump on the meeting at like around 3 o'clock. And so maybe she can answer questions then.
Thank you for sharing that information. So we don't have a timeline. For sure, it'll be for 26, 27, but not for January through June of 2026, correct?
Yeah, well, not in January, but when the administrative rules are adopted, and if there is still funding for the 2025 to 2026 school year, we can begin to take applications for 2-year-olds. But we're not able to take applications in January because our administrative rules won't be adopted by then.
Hey, mahalo. Any questions or any other board member updates? Anybody else from the board?
I have a question for
Okay.
Dana.
Okay.
Dana, we know the economic benefits. I just wanted to ask if you don't mind sharing what the benefits are, just for those online or sitting in the meeting with us who may not know. Can you share about the 2-year-olds, the impact that it could have on families and our economy and just on their learning? Would you mind sharing?
Okay, I can try. Thanks for that question, Kawi. Well, with the expansion for the preschool open doors program to include 2-year-old children, it's a huge benefit on families, so that families are able to have their child have a formal preschool type experience. The eligibility income limits have increased dramatically to 500% of the FPL, the federal poverty level, which means that more families can afford to send their children to a licensed preschool program. Sorry, I guess I'll stop there. I think there's another question.
Soma, did you have a question or something to share?
I'm backtracking to the comment that Napua had made. So you can come back to me if we're still along this line and just come back to me.
You can go ahead.
Okay, my question for Napua, I think I really appreciate that you were sharing the reduction that is looking like will be slated for next year. I'm curious if there is any attempt for anybody in the room who knows this, if there's any attempt around any bills or legislation to proactively support that not happening or less of a reduction.
Conversation with both Hekia as well as ECAS. Right now, we're kind of having a tripartite meeting to determine who would be the best to offer the
Napua, we can't hear you.
Sorry. Can you hear me now?
A little
Is it
better.
Okay, I'll try to talk louder. We're in the process with both ECAS and HCAN to have a tri-party meeting to determine who would be the best to author a bill, as well as learn from the bill that was authored last year because it didn't pass, it died. And so trying to find the best way to, we understand that we may not be able to sustain all 64 sites, but to really find some fundings to keep some of the FCIOs open. And also I've had a conversation with Yuko, just bringing awareness to her, because our public pre-K so for
We lost you a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
We heard you were talking to Yuko and then it kind of dropped out.
We had a conversation with Yuko to bring awareness of the FCIL's plight, as well as seeing if there's a possibility to bring on another FCIL publicly funded classroom.
Okay, so I'm just gonna try to reach out to make sure that I heard you correctly. So it sounded you are working with ECAS to determine whether a bill should be introduced. And then you also talked to Yuko about the possibility of another FCIL being added to EOEA. Is that correct?
Yes, ECAS and HECIA.
Oh, and heck yeah. Okay.
Yeah, to determine which group would take the lead on it, as ECAS drafted one last year.
Okay. Okay, mahalo. Stephanie, you had your hand up?
I'm not sure if this is also the right time. I think I was thinking more about the FCIL concerns and sort of more broadly the across the system. And this isn't something we have to respond to now, but maybe wanted to plant some seeds for Yuko to be thinking about how might EOEL support the system as the systems that we all rely on become more unreliable. So I'm thinking about federal funding. I'm thinking about institutions like the Federal Department of Education and other agencies. So as those systems become more unreliable, what role, if any, can EOEL play in coordination and collaboration to ensure that we're getting creative in how we support our programs and all of the amazing people working in early childhood education to keep keep on keeping on. So not something for us to necessarily solve today, but I think something that's important for EOEL to be thinking about.
Yeah, for all of us to kind of keep in mind. Any other updates from board members or questions?
Elaine, can I just add something about
Sure.
the preschool open doors program? Okay. So I just want you folks to know that part of the proposed rules is that, the language doesn't say exactly say 2-year-olds. It says 3 years before entering kindergarten. And so, that is for us, that's 2-year-old children. But the proposed language is going to say that it's not that licensed infant and toddler centers who serve 2-year-old children, they would not be eligible. So that provider type would not be eligible to provide preschool open door families with this type of care. So if you are eligible for preschool open doors, you have a 2-year-old, your 2-year-old must be enrolled in a group childcare center or, versus an infant toddler center. And then these proposed rules still have to go through the rulemaking process. So that means there will be a public hearing. And so you'll have an option, you'll have an opportunity to provide testimony on the proposed rules. Notice of the public hearing will be posted at least 30 days prior to the public hearing. So right now we don't have a date for the public hearing. But when we do have a date, we will make sure you folks are aware of that date.
Okay.
Thanks, Dana.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Important information. Any other board members have updates? Okay. Well, before there was Carrie, you had a hand up. A member of the public had their hand up. Did you want to make a comment? Okay. I will give it over to, now I'll give it over to you, Paul.
Sorry, Elaine, I don't think I can talk yet.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll talk later.
Okay. Okay.
Hi, everyone. Here's our EOEL updates for the month of December. So pertaining to action item number 1, workforce development and support. Ian.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Ian Okamoto, Workforce Development Specialist with ELB. And actually, I'm going to start with an apology. This slide that's up is actually showing numbers from the spring, so we can skip this slide to go to the next one. Wanted to present an update regarding our ECE stipend program. So this is the cumulative data for the stipend program as of summer 2025. So our total to date number of stipend recipients is 162. And then there were 61 completers. We added an additional completer over the summer. And then 19 participants were terminated from the program in total. We added another terminated participant over the summer. We can go to the next slide. And so actually this does include information that was going to be in that other slide. So our total number of participants over the summer was 85. And then there were 9 new participants in the summer. Of course, the majority were continuing, and then we had a couple of folks in other situations there. But this slide kind of shows, and I apologize, it's really small, but it just kind of shows the overall growth of the program from its start in the summer of 2023. And that dotted line is kind of the projective, like a linear forecast of the growth, kind of based on what we're seeing as this program has moved forward over the past 2 years, 2.5 years.
Thank you.
Oh,
Okay.
and yeah, and so wanted to share a fun event that Yuko, Ephraim and I were able to attend a couple of weeks back. This was a Dive into Education event that was held at Leeward Community College. It was attended by over 230 high school students from across the state. So these are students who are in the education pathways, ECE pathways. There were also schools who came that had those interested in education, kind of clubs that were offered at that school, also had folks from the students in attendance. There were speakers and sessions promoting teaching as a valuable and sustainable profession. It's very inspiring. The keynote was given by Lieutenant Governor, and it was really exciting. I think the thing that was impressive too was that this is the third year of this event, which was initially started by a pair of seniors as a part of their, in 2022, as a part of their senior capstone project, and it's grown into this event that they've held over the past 3 years. And yeah, it was really nice. We presented a breakout session going over the importance of early learning careers and different opportunities within early learning. We were able to do 3 sessions, and they were all well attended. We had students from neighbor islands as well, and so it was really great to be able to be a part of this event.
So, moving on to addressing facilities for our early childhood programs. So to date, here's where we stand right now on the sites that have been gone through the school facilities authority process and who have been submitted to the Office of Talent Management. So as sites clear, so many principals can express interest. Not all sites are feasible. And so for many different reasons, sites, they're on, something happens, they come off. And so there's lots of movement from the time a principal expresses interest till the position can actually get posted. And so you can see, for example, number 3 just got pulled off, even though that was one of the first 3 that had been cleared a while ago. It's sometimes there's other projects that gain momentum. And so they're just, then we just have to shift and it's fine.
Why was that one removed?
Number 3, because there's another project that's gonna be happening on the campus. And so, and some of them have master plans for their areas. And so, there's different reasons, but there are still other schools that are interested in it. They continue to come in, then we just keep sending them over. There's another group that have already been moved off of this list. So there were even more schools than this that expressed interest as well. But here's kind of where we're sitting right now, with the left side being the approved site so far, and then the right side all in review with the School Facilities Authority. Okay, action item number 3, funding for the early system. And talk about the update.
Kim's on.
Kim's on. Oh, can you unmute Kim, please?
Yeah.
Sorry, we're having Kim share this just because she helped to lead the PDGB5 grant, and also Steve as well. But I think Kim is probably going to speak to this.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kim.
Hi, good afternoon. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to share the information about the Hawaii Early Childhood Workforce Award. when the application portal was closed on Monday, December 1st, we received 453 applications. And these are applications from not just the licensed and registered center-based and home-based programs. These also include Head Start, Early Head Start, Infant Toddler, FCIL, License Exempt, as well as Family, Friends, and Neighbor Care. And all of these, 404 or 89% are center-based and family childcare and group childcare providers. So as of now, between now until the end of this month, the contractor who had presented last month will be reviewing and approving the applications for disbursement. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jen?
Good afternoon, everyone. We just wanted to provide a quick update, since Governor has now made final decisions on budget requests for the supplemental fiscal year 27 year. You can see on the slide that our position requests were approved and we're grateful for that. And unfortunately, the FCIL request was not approved this time around, so. An update on where we landed and we'll continue to go.
Okay, action item number 4.
All right, aloha everyone. I wanted to highlight this item. I was able to attend an early educator leadership forum. By the way, this is Steve from Schwab Head Start Collaboration Office. And I really wanted to highlight the early educator leadership forum as a gathering for many early childhood leaders who came from across the state to meet at the University of Hawaii. It's a great opportunity. We have 2 cohorts that are one cohort that's already gone through the program, and then cohort 2 was presenting at this gathering itself. And what I found very interesting about this was just it's a great place for just hearing new ideas as they are coming from grassroots efforts and new educational leaders' minds and what they see in transforming the system. And so going around the circles and hearing everybody speak to what they see going on in their own communities was very impactful. So I just wanted to kind of highlight that and encourage anyone who's interested in the Leading for Change program to inquire with ECE3 and Dr. Terry Locke and her team, who are doing an excellent job in that.
And so this is my question to the board. So if you happen to have taken a look at the roadmap, that's the Early Learning Board's roadmap, are there any parts, does our board feel that there are any parts of the roadmap that you're interested in wanting to learn more about, or may perhaps feel that EOEL might not be covering in our monthly updates? The process that we usually go through is we look at the roadmap. We already reported that many of the items are like checked and it's already checked, and some of them have finished in termination periods or they've already been accomplished. But I just wanted to put this here, and we can also talk about it at a future time as well, that if there's anything that you are interested in learning more about that's part of the roadmap, or you feel like something may not have been highlighted, then feel free to let us know. But I'll let this sit here for just a little bit.
Any initial comments or questions from board members?
I've read it. I read the roadmap, but not for that intent. And so I'd like to go through it again, and we'll discuss it again at the next board meeting. Would that be okay?
Of course, yeah, of course.
Thank you.
Okay, and public comments?
Sherry.
Sherry has-
I'm so sorry.
Hey, aloha, everybody. I just wanted to, and I did get clarification just now for the FCILs. And I'm really appreciative, Napua, for you bringing this up to the board, because I think it is, when we think about our families who will not have access to early childhood development and early learning supports, I think it's deeply saddening, particularly because they are culture-based. And the number of Native Hawaiian families that they serve is Native Hawaiian families plus a lot of other families, but their culture-based, INA-based programming is unique and nationally known. And I would love for Hawaii to continue to lead nationally in that direction. Commit to Keiki, just to share, HCAM, because of their leadership transition, will not be introducing bills this session. And so Commit to Keiki is going to introduce the FCIL bill to help sustain with this potential cut.
Thank you, Carrie. Ka'iulani Laeha, you have your hand raised. This is for an agenda item.
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, can you folks hear me okay?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, aloha kako. I'm Ku'iulani Laiha, calling in again from Punana Leo. I've participated in other board meetings and let you guys know the impact that the rapid opening of public pre-K has been having on different private providers. I wanted to highlight that again. So today in the overview of what sites will be opening under the EOEL program, I did see the Pu'ohala site having a Hawaiian language program. We currently have 2 classrooms there that operate a childcare center. I think maybe you guys have seen it on the news with the community feedback of wanting to keep a punana leo there. I understand that the input for a site is coming from the principal, but I think the intent of Act 210 and Act 46 were not to supplant programs. So I just want to make sure that the board is aware of what is happening. This year, we had a 13% decrease in punana leo enrollment, specifically tied to families being accepted into a public EOEL program. And our program is focused on Hawaiian language vitalization, which requires language acquisition, and we have experience in doing that. It's not going to get done in a 180-day program that is 6 hours a day. So I just wanted to raise that here. I do have some other comments later that I'll follow up on, but mahalo.
Okay, mahalo.
Moving on to special needs and early intervention. Is this Mikako?
Yes. Hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Ephraim and I attended the Department of Health Early Intervention Annual Partners Meeting, and we would like to share about the meeting, which was held yesterday on December 11th at Windward Community College. The meeting was on Hawaii Part C Early Intervention. Part C Early Intervention is for children birth to age 3 under IDEA, or Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. The purpose of this meeting was to review the annual performance report data and to share early intervention section updates. After the review in the update session, we had small group discussions. Ephraim and I joined the Child Find work group and discussed outreach and awareness, referral and evaluation pathways, and many other things. The work group plans to meet monthly to collaborate on the identified topics. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Mikako. Okay, for family support, Allison.
Aloha. I was just going to share about the Mobile Family Resource Center blessing. I was able to attend November 17th. This is with Neighborhood Place of Puna on Hawaii Island. And this is really exciting because this is the first mobile resource center in the state, and it's going to basically extend the essential support services provided by Neighborhood Places Family Resource Centers into anywhere families actually are. And in Puna, that's particularly important because it's a very large district. And so the mobile resource van was really cool. It comes fully stocked. They have emergency supplies, including food, diapers, hygiene items. It provides Wi-Fi access, case management and navigation to families, and parenting support. So we are looking at how we can work together with Neighborhood Place of Puna as they begin these outreach efforts. On their website, they have a wonderful video that shows all about the van. And I lost my train of thought. But it was really exciting to see and celebrate that.
Thank you. Thanks for early learning. Just Caitlin or Ku'ule? Are you ready?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay.
Hi, we're Ku'ule Kalani. I'm one of the educational specialists. We had our recent professional community day, which is our opportunity to work together with our administrators, teachers, and as well as other community partners within the space of our pre-K program. We're halfway through our series on language and literacy that we've been working together to coordinate with, and we're utilizing the Hawaii Early Literacy Guide and connecting and examining the ways that language and literacy is influenced throughout the entire day within the context of the pre-K classrooms. We notice and share all of the integrated ways that the teachers are implementing playful language and learning experiences, and also understanding how they take those information that they're gathering about children's oral language development and then designing learning experiences to enhance as well as advance their language and literacy, and just understanding how oral language is that foundational piece in the classroom space. And then understanding as well that the oral language piece is a variety of offerings throughout the day in many, many different settings and things like that. And it's just some of the sharing. So thank you.
Sorry.
Hope you're good.
Go back. Sorry. Did you want to continue, Ku'ule, or you're done?
Oh no,
Sorry.
that was just some of the these are some of the examples of the work that the participants do together in their thought processes as well as, right? So considering the foundational knowledge and understanding, and then also considering how it looks in the classroom, and then sharing out together to just expand the understanding throughout the space.
Thank you. Under health, mental health, and nutrition.
Yes. Good afternoon again, everyone. Ephraim and I attended the Department of Health's Healthy Hawaii Summit. And we like to share about the summit, which was held on December 5th at the Convention Center. The summit included an overall session with the guest speaker from the Public Health Law Center. And it also included a panel discussion of leaders from the public health sector. The afternoon had breakout sessions. One of the sessions that I attended was for the early education sector, and it was specifically for physical activity and nutrition. So I like to reshare again about the Department of Health resources on Go Knapsack and Ono for Hawaii Map. Go Knapsack can be used as a tool to improve nutrition and physical activity practices in early childcare settings. Ono for Hawaii Map supports hands-on learning opportunities and promotes local purchasing by highlighting ECE-friendly locations such as farmers markets, and food hubs. So please visit the Department of Health website to find out more about these resources, and I hope you get to use them. Thank you.
Heather? That's Alice. Oh, Allison?
This one's me again. So updates on the Hawaii Early Childhood State Plan. Building block committees and steering committees did receive kind of a preview draft copy on November 19th. They could check for accuracy of represented names and organizations. So the Early Learning Board, as participants in either the building block committees or the steering committee, also should have received that draft kind of preview copy. If you did not and you would like that re-emailed, you can let us know and we'll make sure West Ed shares that document with you. We are expecting to receive the final version of the Early Childhood State Plan by December 30th, in line with the ending of the PDG grant. We're anticipating a public release in early 2026. The details of that are still being worked out at this time, but we're anticipating a recognition of the plan, some celebration, and community outreach to go along with it.
So good afternoon, I'm Heather Barnhill, and this is the PDGB Birth Through 5 Symposium that was held on November 10th at Ko'olau Ballroom. We had 180 attendees. The day included a presentation from our external evaluators, panels and presentations from recipients of the PDG funding. They were sharing their activities, and these were recipients from across the state. There was a gallery walk featuring large poster boards explaining the work that had been done. The PD funding was also responsible for a number of online platforms, and these were shared in their own section. We received a federal update from Representative Jill Takuda. And as we prepared for the grant to close at the end of the month, we looked at what's next for Hawaii. Attendees went home with this beautiful booklet outlining the PDG projects and activities accomplished under the grant. If you're interested in looking at either the symposium slides or the booklet, they are available on the PDG website, which is pdghawaii.org.
Okay.
So I'm Lane Tsuchiyama, analyst at the ELBL. So the preschool development grant that Heather was mentioning is ending. That is a renewal grant that we, the state of Hawaii, submitted to Hawaii P20 in 2022. It ends at the end of this month, 12/30/2025. This grant that is on the slide in front of you is the next iteration of that grant. So it is the preschool development grant, Birth Through 5 systems building grant. And there's the opportunity number. It was posted on November 18th, 2025, and the application due date was December 1, 2025. That was last week, Monday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And unlike the other grants that had come before it, the structure had changed drastically. So instead of having 5 activities that each needed to be addressed, one of them being the update or a completion of a comprehensive needs assessment, another one being an update or a completion of a state plan, and several other items. Now they has structured it to have these 3 critical elements. The first one being a statewide EC needs assessment and strategic plan. So collapsing the 2 other activities in the first grant into like one element. The second element being outcome strategies to advance PDG B5 program priorities. And the third critical element is tracking project impact. So if you can go to the next slide. So the next slide shows the expected number of awards. There's about 25. The award floor, so the minimum award that they're going to release is $500,000. It can go up to $15 million. And the award that the ELBL has requested in our application is $1,400,054. The state match is 30% for the grant structure, but we have identified a state match of $423, which is in excess of that 30% minimum award that's requested for state contribution. So the number of states and territories that were eligible to participate or be awarded this grant was 45. And we had participated or had jumped onto a number of calls. And I think throughout the Build conference, many of that was, my understanding was one of the discussions going up around amongst the participants at that conference. And we learned informally through conversations that not everyone could meet the strict requirements of the award in the timeline that was required. So the number of people eligible and the number of people had that probably submitted an award is, far less than the 45. So we're hopeful that we're in the running for an award itself. And as for the start of the grant, it starts on 12/31/2025, but we could get notified anytime between now and 12/31/2025. So we're just waiting on what happens.
I also wanted to highlight the commitment from our team and from a partner who is our external evaluator at the University of Hawaii system. So just imagine opening your email at 9:45 in the morning on the 18th and you see the grant drop. And so our team scrambled together to try to piece together some information that we had already been starting to gather. Like, what are you interested in? What has momentum? What could possibly be accomplished? Checking with our budget section to ensure that our grant ID is up. So EOEL has never held a federal grant alone in our office before. So somebody's working to ensure that federal number is up and running and working. Somebody was working with the governor's office to get a letter from the governor's office. We had people writing, we had people looking for matching. And so because we are administratively attached to the Department of Education, they actually needed it on the 20th, which is just 2 days later. They wanted it by close of business on the 20th. So I said, can we get it to you before 8 o'clock in the morning on the 21st? And they said, yes. So our team pulled an all-nighter and some from the night before too, trying to pull this together. So one thing that we learned that's really important is that we should always have some concrete ideas of things that we would like to do and know exactly how much they would cost or what we would ask for, and also already pre-identify some potential matching areas for matching. It was really those ideas and the people who were prepared with that type of information that helped us, because we could not in 2 days entertain lots of phone calls when we were writing a lot. So our team is awesome, and we really thank our partners and people who are able to actually furnish this kinds of information to us on such short notice.
So this is mine also. So the EOEL was invited and we attended a care summit, When Care Works, that was hosted and put on by the Chamber of Commerce of Hawaii. This particular event was designed to coincide with the report that was released by the United States Chamber of Commerce Foundation. And they did a report that is called the Child Care Economic Impact Report. And so this was mainly designed to facilitate a conversation with people in the community and also state government partners to better understand how the chamber and the business community can be a partner in solving and addressing some of the childcare needs and I guess support for the employees, because the chamber has understood, and it is now a point of emphasis for the chamber and also the Chamber Foundation throughout the United States to support families, because they understand that families are also employees, and when the employees are supported, families are supported, everybody benefits. So next slide. So as part of the presentation, so some of the highlights or the top line numbers is that based on the reporting that was done with resources contributed by the U.S. Chamber Foundation to Hawaii, and you'll see it's part of the report if you want to, it's available online, that the untapped potential, and these numbers are specifically for Hawaii, is $1.18 billion. And as you can see, the breakout on the right-hand side is that the direct employer costs amounts to about $522 million in turnover costs, meaning cost of employees leaving their job for childcare purposes or for other things related to the lack or the unaffordability of childcare resources to the employees. $265 million in absence costs to the employers. Employee couldn't show up to work for some specific reason connected to care for their children. And then the direct tax revenue impact, $358 million from state tax loss resources in terms of not being able to collect revenue from economic activity due to some of the consequences of those numbers that are above that. And then also $30 million in state tax losses that come just from the absences. So when you add those two numbers up, that adds up to about $1.8 billion. And then this is just another item that is inside the highlights from the report itself. So 100% of parents with young children missed work or class at least one time in the past 3 months that they found for childcare related reasons. 53% of parents reported leaving their job as a direct result of issues connected to childcare. And 50% of parents reported that within the last 12 months, they or someone in their family left a job or did not take a job or greatly had the job changed because of challenges with their childcare. So those are just some of the findings that we had uncovered as part of their report. So, and just so that I can add just a little bit more context, the U.S. Chamber Foundation, as part of this work, had actually conducted focus groups in Island. So some of these numbers that are pulled out are from actual experiences that they've collected in state.
Thank you, Lane. I forgot to report on this the other month, but I did attend the Hunt Institute's Early Childhood Leadership Summit. This is a national bipartisan convening of leaders of early learning, either departments or agencies, people from government as their leadership in the government, like for example, governors, lieutenant governors, mayors, and members of Senate and House, and other related supporters of early learning. So this year, I was able to attend with Jared Kimura of the Lieutenant Governor's Office, Representative Julie Reyes-Oda, Representative Justin Woodson, and Vivian Etel of ECAS. One thing that was unique this year that was different from the prior years that I attended was that they had breakout sessions depending on your role group. So for example, the legislative breakouts were early childhood legislative wins and unified governance. Agency leads attended on early childhood workforce solutions and also how to build integrated data systems. And then supporters were talking about local solutions to support early childhood and trying to foster these local and state connections. Remy? Sorry, one moment, Remy. We're getting
Yeah, I'm here. So good afternoon, everyone. Happy to be here. So our office started its collaboration with the Strategic Data Project, hosted by the Center for Education Policy Research at Harvard University. So Yuko and I attended this orientation session. So as you can see here, there were a lot of different state agencies and nonprofit organizations participating in this effort. So yeah, pretty much covering every state in the country. So the next slide will be the agenda, I think. So this is what we did over those few days. We prepared strategies and designs in how to leverage to the best the various data system and data pipelines that we hope to have in place in the future. Next slide. And so 2 weeks later, I presented work at the Association for Public Policy Analysis and Management annual research conference in Seattle. And there I presented the impacts of our public pre-K program on early development and school engagement. So that was I was among a panel of Californians mostly. They talked about the paper was well received by the discussants. They in particular appreciated the effort we've put in approaching a randomized control experiment in the statistical analysis we've done for the paper. But other than that, the other participants here were from California, and they talked about the universal public pre-K and the expansion of that program.
Thank you, Grammy.
Thank you.
Hello again, everyone. You from Schwab Head Start Collaboration Office. It seems like it's been a minute, but yes, we kind of got out of the federal shutdown a little while ago, and there were some federal changes that took place that I wanted the public to be aware of and our partners. And as you guys know, November 14th, the federal office staff returned to work, so we finally were getting our grant support from the Office of Head Start during that time. They brought aboard Dr. Alex Adams as the new Assistant Secretary of the Administration for Children and Families. He comes from the state of Idaho, and his priority area is foster care. So you'll see a lot of emphasis in that moving forward. The acting director of the Office of Head Start has moved to a new position in ACF. And currently the Deputy Assistant Director will be Lori Todd Smith, who will serve as the new acting director of the Office of Head Start. And then we have Shauna Pinckney will serve as the acting deputy director. And as they all got back into their offices and to work, the action priority was to expedite funding for all of our national programs who were October and November grant recipients. As you know, that was creating some challenges and hardships. So we are glad to be back up and running at full capacity in the Head Start world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah? We welcomed 3 new members to our EOEL staff. Megan and Olivia as LSATs and Leilani as an educational specialist.
Is Leilani up? Leilani, would you like to say hello?
Aloha, everyone. Mahalo for your time here today. And I'm so excited to be a part of this work that we're doing together to support our early learners in Hawaii and all the families. So mahalo so much for the opportunity and nice to meet all of you.
And that's the end of our report. So if there's any board comments.
Let's see anything. From Suma.
Any other comments?
I'm going to go on to the next item, which is the evaluation criteria. So I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Matt Shim.
Thanks, Elaine. Hi, everybody. I'm going to share my screen. Okay. Third month. I think this is our third month. So our goal today is not only to review this, but then hopefully approve the evaluation criteria for the director. So there are no highlights on this. There's nothing highlighted anymore. So this document includes the 5 leadership standards and indicators, pardon me, The addition, thank you very much to Elaine. Previously, what was highlighted, if you remember, were items that we would have the director provide measurable outcomes for. So those are listed as indicators. Then I'll pick number 1.3. Because everything on this list is being evaluated, and after discussion with board members and also at the governance subcommittee meeting, Elaine added a block for evidence. So where will this information come from? Because it's not coming directly from the director, nor will it directly be in the director's annual summary, but the evidence for the director advocating for legislation to facilitate system building and the early learning statewide plan priorities. That evidence is updates during the legislative session, January to April. And hopefully, as we move forward there, we will have links to meeting minutes, board meeting minutes that will take board members to that. So if they want to review that during the evaluation period. So everything here, hopefully everybody got a chance to look at that. Again, indicators, the director will provide us measurable data and objective measures, and those will be presented in her annual summary. And then the evidence are things that we will find from board notes, meeting minutes, and then the final one, professionalism is director's self-report to chair, on staff feedback, ongoing bi-monthly meetings with the chair, conduct at board meetings, the legislature during press conferences, meeting with partners and stakeholders. So I will open it up to any questions that the board has. Somebody's gonna have to help me if there's a chat or
Not seeing anything in the chat.
Okay, so now how can I? Are you guys actually able to see my screen? Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
I know it's
Now,
provided as well.
now I've lost my ability to end share screen. I don't have my toolbar anymore. Hang on one moment. Let's see if I can find it, get it back here.
Yeah, Kevin will end it.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone gonna have to end it for me because I've lost
There we go.
Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah.
I've lost control. Sorry about that. Okay. So in the absence of any questions, I'm going to make a motion that the board accepts the current leadership standards and indicators as presented as the director evaluation criteria for July 2025 through June 2026.
Okay, there's a motion. Can I have a second?
This is Stephanie. I can second.
Okay. Any discussion? Any more discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'm going to go through roll call for the vote. Kau'i.
Aye.
Aye. Soma.
Aye.
Lindsay. Aye. Stephanie?
Aye.
Elaine? Aye. So it passed. Yay, we got it done. Yay.
Yay, thank you,
And
everybody.
yeah, thank you, and thank you, Matt. Thank you, everybody who asked. It was important that we addressed the questions that were raised. We had some good discussion, and thank you, everyone, for your involvement. So we are actually on time. We are going to take just a 5-minute break because we have a lot still to come. So take a 5-minute break. We come back at 3 o'clock. Okay, we're starting again. We introduced this last month, and it's a 25-26 draft framework of policy priorities. And this one, it has been based on the previous state plan. And now that we have a new state plan, this framework is based on the new state plan. So today's discussion, let me go back to this. We've typically done this, at least for the last year and this year. We've approved this in like November, December for the legislative session. However, it seems to make more sense to going forward after today. We want to approve this for this coming session, but after today, next summer, we would be doing this instead of in December, so that EOEL and the staff can use it as a guide for as a guide for formulating legislative and budget priorities. Okay, so this is a question or the issue that I'd like us to consider and then possibly entertain a motion and vote on it. Is first we have to approve this one, okay, for the legislative session. And then the next question would be to propose to do this going forward in the summer or early summer instead of in December. Okay, so first, I would like to everyone to look at the document itself. And again, it's built based on the building blocks in the upcoming state plan. And I would like to know if there are any questions or comments about the framework. Anything in the chat? If there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to accept the proposed framework for the 2026 legislative session. So I need a voting member to make a motion.
This is Kelly Burgess. I move to approve the framework of policy practices for the 25-26 legislative session.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Aloha, this is Solma Gandhi. I second.
Mahalo, Suma. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, I will go through the roll to vote on it. Kau'i.
Aye.
Soma.
Aye.
Lindsay.
Aye.
Stephanie.
Aye.
Elaine. Aye. Okay, so the next thing is and I'm not sure if we need a motion for this. This could be something that we just start to practice. So anybody who, you know, Matt or anybody else who has opinion on whether we have to make it a formal motion or not, but what would make sense is if we approve this document in early summer so it can be used as a tool for EOEL to determine to legislative and budget priorities. So instead of December, do it in the summer. Are there any questions or issues around doing that? Anybody have any questions?
You're questioning if we need to vote on moving.
Yeah,
moving
you know,
it
that's what
out?
we want to do. We can, yeah, maybe we can just.
You just put it into the agenda.
Into the agenda, okay. I'm good with that. Any objections to moving this to, the next one would be in the summer of 2026. Okay, hearing none, we are just gonna make it a practice to do that, and when it comes up for discussion in the summer, be thinking about whether we use it as a biennial document or continue to approve something every year. Okay, so we won't address that question today, but when it comes up in the summer or early summer, we will bring that point forward. So if you have opinions on that, please be thinking about that. Okay, so that was approved. Any comments from the public about this last motion? Oh, hi, Iulani?
Aloha ho. Sorry, the comments are disabled on my end, so that's why I'm raising my hand like that. But in regard to the framework policies, there's a framework notation that says consider the potential impact on Hawaiian medium education. That it was there, that was put there because that is relevant to every single priority. And I wanted to just again state there's the importance of the mixed delivery system. Ahapuna Leo was previously the only statewide provider of Hawaiian medium education across the state. Earlier today, I mentioned that steep decline of 13% that we were impacted by, tied to the enrollment in EOEL pre-K, and that does not include the Punana Leo Ohana that was absorbed into the EOEL that took all of their Punana Leo families as well as their staff members. So I just wanted to raise this to the board because even in your policy priorities, it's stating that you should be assessing the impact on Hawaiian medium education. And it's really hard to do that if you don't have any connection to understanding the data points that are impacting the community there. In Act 210, there's a statement that says the assessments, standards, performance ratings, staff qualification, training requirements shall not apply to any laboratory school of the Hawaiian Language College in Hilo, that's Kahako'ula. Ahapuna Leo is a laboratory school. We're also a consortium partner with the college. We, in addition to the college, should be being consulted when you're talking about expansion or impact on HME education. I'm bringing this up, and I know it's a broken record. I've been jumping into all these meetings saying the same thing over and over, but I'm not seeing any interest. I'm not seeing any change. It seems like it's not a matter that's being taken seriously by leadership and the board. So I really think we need to be aware of it. We're not talking about keeping our doors open as a nonprofit provider. We're talking about the future of Hawaiian language, and this rollout of EOEL public pre-Ks are putting that in jeopardy. And this is the progress that we've made over the last 40 years, and how it's happening right now is just not right. So when you're looking at policies and looking at how things are going to be impacting the early childhood education sector, please make sure that you're consulting with who you need to consult with for the Hawaiian medium education. Mahalo.
Carrie, you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi Elaine. I'm wondering if now would be a good time to share the early childhood policy priorities from ECAS and Committee Keiki, or do I wait?
Let's do that in the announcements at the
Okay.
end. Thank you. Okay, so mahalo for the comments. And I'm going to give it over to the Children's Funding Project. So this is an overview. So I will stop share and give it over to people.
So Carrie,
Is
that
me?
Hang on.
Hello?
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
So Carrie, you and I can tag team on introducing this effort. At one of the Hunt Institutes that I attended a few years ago, one of our former representatives attended a session that talked about the Children's Funding Project and their fiscal mapping cohorts for funding for children. And after listening to their webinar, EOEL was very interested. And then we found another partner that was also interested, which is ECAS. So Carrie, you can jump in there. So Carrie, Aaliyah, and I will need access.
Okay.
All right, thank you. Yes, we were introduced, we're part of a infant early childhood mental health effort and working closely with 0 to 3. And so 0 to 3 had reached out to ECAS and said, hey, we think you should apply for this because really understanding what funding is coming into Hawaii is really critical, and also understanding what state investments are being made for children birth to 24 is critically important. And this is something we have, we've had many efforts at over many years, and I think we've got a lot of different reports, but nothing quite this comprehensive. And so this was a real opportunity. And so the beautiful part is EOEL and ECAS partnered, and with the exceptional support and help from Children's Funding Project, which Alea just jumped on, we were able to create a fiscal map that we plan to keep updated. And this really should inform policy, it should inform funding decisions, it should inform programmatic decisions. And so just really excited for this opportunity. So with that, I'll turn it over to Alea.
Thank you, Yuko. Thank you, Carrie. Hello, everyone. My name is Aaliyah Simons. I'm a senior policy associate at Children's Funding Project. I led the data collection of the Hawaii fiscal map. I will share my screen for slides, but I also want to say thank you to some of the budget holders who are on this call for taking the time to meet with us and also give context about Hawaii. Okay. Share my screen. Hold on 1 second.
And we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so here's just a quick agenda. So I will introduce what a fiscal map is, also the partnership that ECAS and EOLE are a part of, and then kind of just walk through the children youth fiscal map. So this is not the full team. The leader of our team, Amelia Vaughn, she unfortunately could not be on this call, but she is our leader of our fiscal data infrastructure team, and we are the team that creates the fiscal maps. So Children's Funding Project, we are a nonprofit social impact organization based in Washington, D.C. And our goal is to help communities and states expand equitable opportunities for children and youth through strategic public financing. So strategic public financing, what we're looking to do is put a price tag on the goals and policy priorities we're trying to achieve, and then identify ways to cover costs with existing and new revenue. So we kind of have 3 pillars. So we have the fiscal mapping side, which is to map all the funding streams that are available within a given state or locality. And then from there, we have our cost estimation and modeling, where we estimate how much does it cost, for example, to expand childcare subsidies. And then our last pillar is from there, we see if there's new revenue that we need, how do we source additional funding? So the main pillar I will focus on is fiscal map. So the main question with the fiscal map is we're trying to answer who invests how much in what. So we're looking at how much we're spending for children, youth in total. So for fiscal map, so when we talk about children, youth, we are talking about cradle to career, ages 0 to 24. On the outcomes we care about, for example, on prevention versus intervention, how much do we spend by age group, funding source, and much more. So shaded in green are states that we currently have a fiscal map for, or we are in the process of completing. So right now we have half the country with the goal to have a fiscal map for the entire country by 2028. This slide, so Hawaii is part of Wave 3 of our state fiscal mapping partnership. So we have all the different organizations that have joined Wave 1, Wave 2, and Wave 3. And we have ranging from just advocacy organizations to also governor's office, different state agencies who are looking to do a cradle to career map. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to show the fiscal map. So since the chat is disabled, if anyone has any questions, please ask them after, because I just want to do just a quick run through of the fiscal map. So here's the first page of the Hawaii Children Youth Fiscal Map. So it just gives an introduction. So for this fiscal map, we are looking at all federal, state COVID-19 relief funding that directly supports children and youth ages 0 to 24. We also do include prenatal or can be used by children and youth from fiscal year 2019 to 2023. And this is in Power BI. So the Power BIs are very interactive. To the left, you can kind of click on any button and it'll lead you to the page you're looking for. So this is our fiscal mapping summary page. So the first chart to the left, it shows the total amount of funding for children and youth for each year within our fiscal map. So this is a total of federal, state general fund, state special revenue fund, and COVID-19 relief funding. So if I press, say, 2020, it'll just highlight on the subsequent charts the funding level, outcome category, level intervention for 2020. Same thing. So if I look at the funding level, so say if you just want to look at the state general fund, the chart below, all the funding streams that are state general fund dollars will appear below, and then it'll also adjust outcome category, how much for 2019 a state general fund dollars is educated, employed, and then for level intervention, same thing. So for outcome category, so every funding stream, we tag the outcome category. So the outcome category is what is the overall outcome of this program. So we have 5. So educated would be any K through 12, higher ed, Head Start would fall into educated, preschool, special education, after school programs, employable, any type of career, readiness program, apprenticeship programs, healthy are any type of health programs. So SNAP, Medicaid / MedQuest, maternal child health. Safe programs are programs that keep children safe. So runaway and homeless youth as one example. And then supported and connected would be community-based programs, programs such as TANF, any cash assistance programs, also juvenile justice. So if you want to look to see the programs that fall under educated, for example, you could click educated and all the funding streams that are tagged educated will appear below, also along with their funding level and then the total amount they consist of each fiscal year. And then to the bottom right, so each funding stream we tag a level intervention. So kind of like what level of intervention is this program? So positive development would be any type of education program that supports the development of the youth, so childcare, K through 12, higher ed, Head Start. Prevention programs are programs that have the title prevention in the program description. Also, programs such as domestic violence, foster care. Also, we do not separate the different levels of prevention. So, primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention are all under prevention. Intervention would be any program that requires like residential treatment, substance abuse programs, any type of like mental health program that will fall under intervention. And then basic services are programs that support the basic needs of a child. So housing, SNAP would fall under basic services, TANF would also fall under basic services. And another big one is, so for Medicaid, it would be the insurance side and managed care side of Medicaid / MedQuest. So say if I want to click on prevention, so below all the funding streams that are tagged prevention will appear along with the total amount. And then on the bottom left, we have a search bar where you could search based on the program description, any keyword if you're looking for a particular program. So if I type in childcare, all the funding streams that contain the word childcare will pop up, and then it'll also just by the total amount for the fiscal year, funding level, outcome category, and then level of intervention. So the next page is the funding stream profile page. So each funding stream, we tag all of the services and programs the funding stream supports. So not only the primary, but secondary, like any service and program we know this funding stream supports in the state of Hawaii, we included it within that funding stream. So on the left, there's the search and filter. So right now it's select all. So say if I select childcare, for example, so all the funding streams that support childcare will pop up. You can also select multiple funding streams. So I could do child abuse and neglect services. Same thing. Also, all the funding streams that support child abuse and neglect services will pop up as well. And then you can also narrow down by funding level. So if you just want to look at state funds, state general fund, you could do that as well. If you just want to look at the COVID-19 relief funding, that will also appear. It's always going to be 0 for fiscal year 2019 since it did not exist during that year. And then same thing, outcome category. Say if you just want to look at supported and connected. All the funding streams under support and connected will pop up. And then level of intervention. Say if I want to look at intervention, all the funding streams tagged as intervention will pop up. So say if I'm looking at, for example, childcare, what you could do is you could click on any funding stream, and then you can click for more information, and it'll take you to another page where it will give you the program description. It will give you more information about the program. So outcome category, the age range it supports, level of intervention, all the eligible services and programs, also the service setting. If it's a federal program or federal grant, does it have like a matching requirement? Who's the in-state administrator? So people can kind of see also history of funding. So you can kind of see over time how much funding did this particular line item receive. And then above, there's also another keyword search. So if I type in foster care, all the funding streams that contain the word foster care will come up underneath. I'm going to skip the next page. This is just a general age range page. For this meeting, we will focus on the 0 to 5 age range. So Yuko and Carrie have requested that we have a separate age page for 0 to 5 to see all the funding streams that support 0 to 5-year-olds. So we have just a general age range page where we just kind of put all the funding streams 0 to 24 and whatever age they support. This page is just all the funding streams that support prenatal to 5-year-olds. So there are many programs on this list that also do support all ages, but on this page, the highest age will be age 5. So say you just want to look at prenatal to 3. You can move this bar. Hold on. And then it'll just show all the funding streams that support prenatal to 3, along with all the eligible services, and then the appropriation for each year. So this one is on fiscal year 2023, so you can adjust it for 2022, and the appropriation number will adjust. And then the chart below is we just kind of have a chart for the total funding amount based on the level of intervention for each funding stream. So say if you just want to look at basic services, let's go back. You could click on basic services. So all the funding streams that are within basic services will disappear. Same thing for positive development. So if you're particularly looking for education, it will pop up as well. And then second to last page, I won't go into too much detail, but we do have a budget comparison page where we compare the funding for children and youth from the fiscal map in comparison to just other state spending that is not for children and youth. So this includes all ages. We do separate K through 12. All of the universities we put together, including the community colleges and also Medicaid, since those are the 3 biggest programs, to kind of show how much does the state spend for children and youth versus other general fund spending. And it can be adjusted by revenue type. So this is combined general fund and special revenue fund. You can just do general fund or special revenue fund. You can also adjust by year. So you can look at 2021. And then you do have top right is per capita spending. So the first number is the total per capita spending for 0 to 24. And then the second number is the per capita spending when you take out K through 12, since K through 12 is the largest state program for children and youth. And then finally, we have by department how much is being spent for children and youth in comparison to other state spending. And we only included departments that have at least one funding stream for children and youth. And then this is the methodology page. So we kind of explain the process of how we found the data. So for the federal funds, they are expenditures that we found from USA Spending. It's what the state of Hawaii reported to the federal government on what they spent on different federal funds. For states, for state funding, it is just appropriations from budget bills. A lot of the funding streams, we do have proxies. So I'll go back to the 0 to 5 page. So particularly this page, we do have proxies for almost all of the funding streams, except for the ones, for example, we don't have a proxy for WIC since that's 0 to 3, and like Head Start, since that's within 0 to 5. So the proxies for 0 to 5, we kind of tried our best based on, we use population data, just national data, also just reading documents that different departments kind of reported on, like, so for example, for foster care and also for child abuse, the Department of Human Services, they kind of had a percentage on age, how many children are in the foster care system. So we just kind of use that proxy and just a lot of estimates for this page. In general, I'll go back to the summary page. Some of the other proxies that we came to, 1 second, were also kind of estimates, or what we did is, so particularly for the bigger block grants, we looked at what the state reported to the federal government on what they spent the big block grant on. So for example, for TANF, we took how much they spent on basic assistance and separated it out. So I'll show you. So for TANF, instead of just having just one big block grant, we separated it out by the different services they fund and just use that percentage to find the appropriation. So people could know of the TANF block grant, how much is going to basic assistance, how much is going to Head Start, child welfare. We did the same thing for the social services block grant. Also the community development block grant. The bigger block grants we were able to separate out. Medicaid, we just used a proxy to estimate how many children and youth use Medicaid, since Medicaid is a huge program that covers all ages, but we just wanted to get children and youth. So that is it for now. So thank you. And I welcome any questions.
There were some questions in the chat. Before I go to those questions, I do want to say, Dana Luca put in a comment about Kaiulani's comments. So I have noted that about whether it should be an agenda item or not. So we'll continue thinking about that. So thank you, Dana, for that comment. So I think everybody can see the chat. So Carrie has been able to figure out how to respond to people. Thank you, Carrie. So, and I just want to let you guys know that to avoid Zoom bombings, this is why Kevin has to unmute you. Everybody is muted except for the people who are going to speak and the people in the room. And the chat, I think, is only for the board members. Is that?
Oh, no. Anybody who can speak.
Oh, anybody who can speak can do chat. But other than that, yeah, you can raise hands. So that's all to prevent Zoom bombing. So thank you for figuring it. So Carrie, you want to address the questions?
Sure. So Steve asked if this was publicly available. It's not yet. That is up to the Children's Funding Project when that will be available. And I believe it's January. Alea, is that correct?
Yes. So after we do the statewide release, we will make it available. Also, once it's online, it can be edited at any time. So once we do the statewide release, and if someone, we do have on the methodology page, you could reach out if any correction needs to be made, we can edit it at any time.
Great, thank you. And then Sulma had asked when will it be live? And then I also just shared that so some next steps on this. I just want to again a shout out to the budget holders. This could not have been made possible if budget holders didn't say yes to the Children's Funding Project. And I'm just so grateful because it's a lot of work to do this, and they put in a lot of extra time. So shout out to the budget holders. And then also just to Yuko and Lane and Christina Simmons, who's on the call, Alea and Amelia. I mean, it's been a year-long process with a lot of questions, a lot of edits, a lot of patience, a lot of grace, and really wanting to make sure that this is user-friendly, but also that it's meaningful. And so we know that there will be a need to create issue briefs. One of our first issue briefs out the gate will be an infant, early childhood mental health issue brief of where we might have potential funding coming in that could be used for ICMH. But we know that there are many others. And so EOEL and ECAS will be hosting monthly talk story sessions about the fiscal map to really look at how do we use this information. We're going to be keeping this updated. Alea, do you want to share? Alea, do you want to share a little bit about next steps on keeping it updated?
Sure. Let me go back. Slides. Okay. So next steps for the fiscal map is, hold on, next page. So we will do the statewide release early next year. The plan is, so we will be updating the map every 2 years. So Hawaii, their next update is scheduled 2027. As Carrie said, EOLE and ECAS, they'll be working on issuing briefs that contextualize the fiscal maps. because the fiscal map is kind of a beginning point. We just want to make Hawaii's budget readable to the public and also include services and programs because a lot of the particularly big block grants, they do support so much more than what people think they do. So people can kind of have an idea like, hey, I could potentially use this funding stream. Um, and then also kind of working on the infant and early childhood mental health breakdown in the near future. So fiscal map, it's the beginning point, not the end.
And Aaliyah, if you could just go back, especially for this group, could you go back to my favorite graph? It's not my favorite because it's bad news, but it's my favorite because it tells a story on the 0 to the age breakdowns. Yeah, so if you look at this estimated count of funding streams by age range, look at prenatal, look at birth to 2 and then 3 to 4, and then it jumps, massively jumps 5 to 12, 13 to 17, right? And, you know, so all of us in this room, virtually or in person, advocate for prevention and advocate for the prenatal to 5 space. And there's just a lot of curiosities around around the equity. You know, we have per pupil costs allocated for children when they turn 5 and they're in our public systems. But what about our birth to 5? Why don't we have a per keiki allocation to make that a little, and maybe we could even save downstream if we invest early. So anyway, I'm just so appreciative that we have that visual now to actually use it, and it's backed by data. So much.
Yes, this is also very similar across the board. Every state we work with, 5 to 12-year-olds and 13 to 17-year-olds, they have the most funding streams because of K through 12 and juvenile justice.
Thank you. It's more of a comment than a question or potentially a question. I think this is great. There are a number of folks in Hawaii, I think, who would be really interested in this information, which is why I was asking questions around socialization. I'm wondering if the monthly meetings would be a way for people to sign up so that they can see how to look up the data. If I don't know what the point of more than putting together the briefs, which is what you said, but I'm hoping that there is some plan around socialization. I'm thinking like Hawaii Data Collaborative is actually working on something right now around public funding streams that are coming through to the state of Hawaii. I would want to make sure that they saw this and knew about it as well. So I think there's a lot of people who might be interested, but I think it's more than a step of it just going live is actually the socialization around it.
Yeah, thank you, Soma. Most definitely. And I think that's a question for everybody on this call is what would you want to see and how can we best support you in understanding the map and learning the map and knowing how to use it and being able to provide feedback so that we can continue to iterate it so it meets everybody's needs. What's that format and structure? And perhaps it's a periodic ELB conversation. I'm not sure. So anyway, it's just an open question to everybody.
Okay. I don't know how to raise my hand virtually, so I'm just going to start talking. Hi, Stephen Schatz.
Hi, Steve.
So I agree with Soma about socializing, but my bent is a little bit different in that I think you guys, as you built this, admittedly have a bunch of assumptions, and like there are funding sources that are traditionally thought of one way and maybe used more broadly. So I'm a little concerned about the budget holders, as you guys called them. Like I from my perspective, it would may make sense for them to vet it. Like socialization is one thing, but like being comfortable with what's being said publicly makes a ton of sense to me from a data perspective, because if you just put it out there and it's built on a bunch of sort of data assumptions. Even if those are the best assumptions you can make at the time, I'm a little nervous about like it looks like it's built very well and it's kind of fancy. So people may assume that it's 100% accurate and irrefutable, and I'm just a little worried that it may not be.
Yeah, thank you, Steve. Aaliyah or Yuko, do you want to address that and then I'll comment?
So particularly on the 0 to 5 page, so we did put a note that we use estimates to kind of determine the amount that could go to 0 to 5. So this is not like a concrete number, it's just an estimate based on publicly available documents and also from what some of the feedback we did hear. So I will say like so this fiscal map kind of as I said, like it can be edited at any time. There was some budget holder verification, not by everyone that we reached out to, but a few agencies kind of did verify the data. Um, so at the moment, this is kind of based on like what the state reported. To spent on federal programs and just kind of publicly available documents and also some verification. This is kind of the best bet.
I guess my point is if it's editable, I'd prefer to edit it before it seems like it's live and complete. Because I think you have the potential of, I mean, you just want it to be as accurate as possible once it goes live, and so that my advocacy would be just a tiny bit of slowing down of the public release and some of that socialization / vetting upfront, just to ensure that you don't have any stakeholders who think things are misrepresented. Just my 2 cents.
Okay.
Steve,
Good point.
Steve, can you give some guidance on who to vet with?
I mean, I could try. Yeah, I could try, but sometimes it's complicated. And like I said, like every time you're doing something like this, you're making assumptions to the best of your ability, so it gets fuzzy. But I mean, we could talk offline for sure. Happy to help. Don't know that I'll be helpful, but I'll try.
Well, and I also, we talked with Children's Funding Project too about making sure that when this does go public, that we say what it is and what it isn't.
Yeah. I mean, that's
Right,
part of mitigating
yeah.
too. Yeah. Yeah.
And that opportunity to provide questions and recommendations and clarifications is needed because as Aaliyah said, these are all, this is a live document that can be edited and we want to get it right. So yes, you got any other comments on that?
No, not really. Sorry, I keep doing that. I apologize. I think that when we talked about our budget holders, Aaliyah had pulled, a bunch of publicly available data. And then we put her in contact with the people who are like, the budget folks for each of the main departments. Some of them looped in other people who are part of their staff to further dig down into different, I guess, clarifications on uses of funding and what have you. So I know that there was a lot of work done in that space. We also did have a meeting with the budget holders to show them this earlier this week. They don't have, of course, it in their hands, but I wonder, Leah, if maybe that might be a possibility that we can put it back into their hands first for another round of feedback so they can see it before it gets launched.
Yes, I will ask Amelia because I think not everyone got back on on reviewing the data, but yes, I'll bring it back.
Yeah,
And
and
this is.
go ahead.
No, I was
Go ahead.
Can I just ask one thing? So this is our public funding, state, federal funding, correct? Not
Yes.
philanthropic or foundations or, yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
only public funding.
Yeah, and Elaine, I think we talked about at the beginning of this, wanting to include philanthropy and county investments as those continue to increase for children. And so, if that's something that we would want reflected in here and added, we can do that in the next couple of years. Yeah, and I also just want to share, and this is something I've struggled with this process and even the end product, which I think is excellent, and we need this, and it gives us hard data to actually use when we are talking with the legislature, when we're talking with partners, when it's clear data in that way. And it shows the disparity, which I think is critical. And it also shows where in block grants, birth to 5 is actually included that we may all not have known about. And that some of those block grant funds could be used for early childhood development and prevention work, whether it's across health, safety, and learning. So I think there's just a lot of opportunity for us to study this data, understand it. And my frustration has been it's not what it doesn't show in all cases is it doesn't show where the money was allocated. So a lot of the state money, for example, is just allocation. It doesn't show where what type of programs or where in the state, for example. So we can't compare for our highest need communities. We can't say, oh, there's a disparity in where we have invested in these communities yet. But that would be something that would be really awesome to have on the horizon. And some states do have that, which is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and just to share Illinois, I really appreciated their presentation. What they found when they looked at the disparity is that the majority of public dollars were going to high-resourced communities, not going to highest need communities. And that was because the high-resourced communities could apply for the funding, right? They had people, they had infrastructure, so I think all of those stories that come out of this really matter. But this was the foundational piece that needed to happen.
Another example we have, so we did a map for New Hampshire. We're currently updating New Hampshire. So they used their fiscal map to expand eligibility for childcare. They kind of saw that they weren't really drawing down CCDBG dollars, and they were able to show the map to their legislators to kind of get legislative changes so more kids had access to childcare.
Am I unmuted? I'm unmuted. I have this document, the Hawaii 0 to 5 fiscal analysis fact sheet around this fiscal map. Is that publicly available? Can people see that? That's part of the assumptions and information that I think is good to address maybe a little part of what Steve was asking earlier.
Yuko, can I share the one pager?
So we can have it.
We can send out the one pager. Tara's gonna send out the one pager to our board.
Is that publicly available? So if it's sent to the board, I just want clarity. Is that publicly available?
Yes.
And that can be shared then?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I guess I have a question. Would we want that one pager shared publicly if we don't have the fiscal map public yet?
That's a good question. I would say for now, just the board.
Yeah, I agree.
Usually we do the statewide release and then we kind of do more kind of analysis after, but this time we're doing it before. the statewide release, which is fine.
Thank you,
Thank
Leah.
you. I think one of the challenges is that should it go out and then come back to the board, or should the board be able to see these things before it actually goes out to the public? And I think that that's just something that I know EOEL struggles with, even like as we're talking about state plan, like do we bring it before the board before it's officially released, or do we officially release it and then the board gets it after? And so I think we would also gladly love input and feedback on that as we're starting to release pretty big things. We feel well, I know that I personally feel that the board should at least see it before it comes out to the broader field. But then we run into this little challenge that we're experiencing right now.
Yeah. It's already co-branded, so and we made all the edits on our end, so whatever is comfortable and you think would be best.
Stephanie has her hand raised.
I think this is a really exciting start. I think there's always stories in data around budgets and spending that can be incredibly helpful. I'm curious about a phase two that helps us both understand a more like micro level distribution of the funds or more geographic distribution of the funds. And on top of that, I'm curious if there's potential or possibility to layer in non-state and federal funding streams that are like somewhat consistent year over year. For example, we have foundations that focus on early childhood education. We have community organizations, high net worth individuals that make it their like DAF funding priorities. So I'm would be really interested to see the web of financial resources that surround and support early childhood education outside of what flows through government funding streams.
So we do local maps. So we do that separate from our state map. So for Hawaii, if someone applies, we could do local maps for each island to kind of compare what is going to each island, a certain area, in comparison to the state. For our state maps, it's kind of more uniform because we do want to compare what states are spending across the board. So we just kind of focus on like state and federal funding streams, but on the local level, we do include philanthropy dollars as well.
Yeah, and Steph, that was the original intent, was to include philanthropy and county. So I think we can, as we iterate this over the next couple of years and do the updates, I think that's critical data that we
Yeah,
should be.
I think those will be essential as we're navigating increasing federal funding cuts and uncertainty, both from like a resiliency standpoint, but also just as like a strategy standpoint at the state level, how state agencies are thinking about partnering with community.
Understandable. I could kind of see from like a bird's eye view that each island is very, very different. I would say kind of our bigger states kind of have similar issues with their fiscal maps, like California and New York, where their localities are very, very different, and how they do data. It is very similar to Hawaii, where they separate every single locality to kind of show who's getting what, recipients, where's the money going to.
Yeah, and then just to share, I think one of the other things we've learned in this process, we've learned a lot. But one of the other key things in terms of infrastructure is we don't have people in Hawaii. And I'm thinking about UHERO, for example, and we had reached out to them to understand what their capacity was. we don't have people who are focused on fiscal mapping for children. And so how do we build local capacity in an entity like your hero that is, you know, economically, and they're also neutral. You know, they aren't an entity that's in a particular content space. To build that capacity so that we all have those people, you know, and so Children's Funding Project also works with states to secure that type of, to think about what's required to fund a position like that and what's the right place for that position to be housed. And that's been fun to learn about because we need that local capacity.
Any other questions from board members?
Not about this, though.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I want to end this.
Okay. We're gonna thank you. Thank you very much for that presentation. We look forward to seeing it, seeing the page and the one pager, and thank you. So let me. I'll just real briefly give agenda outcomes and then we can do announcements. So
I just have, yeah,
yep,
that's fine.
okay. So we did approve minutes for October and November. We approved the evaluation criteria and we approved the framework of policy priorities. So go ahead, Colleen.
Just wanted to call out Dana's question again.
Yes.
I do know that Caillou has attended multiple times, said the same thing over and over, and I'd like to ask that we do actually put it on the agenda. I know you said we would think about it, but I'm asking if we can have a discussion. It's that important. While the Early Learning Board's kuleana is not Olelo Hawaii, we do have a kuleana to ensure that both our official languages of Hawaii are honored. And if we can do that through early learning per Act 210, then we should have be serious about that. Not serious, just the wrong word, but cognizant and ensure that we fulfill our kuleana in that. So I'm just asking that we put it on the agenda to have a discussion.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other announcements from board members?
Sorry, this is Stephanie. I just wanted to piggyback on that and request that potentially ahead of that discussion, one of the resources that can be shared with board members is reshare the list of upcoming classrooms that are confirmed and potential classrooms alongside information about, you know, programs, Punana Leo programs that are in proximity to those classrooms, whether or not they're there. I think right now EOEL does a great job of getting us the information about the classrooms coming up, but it would be great to get contextual information about the communities they're going into.
Thank you. Anything else from board members? From the public, I know Carrie, you wanted to share your policy priorities.
Yes, and hope that the ELB will consider supporting or anybody on the call. We have two between ECAS and Committee Keiki. We have two program bills, sustaining the FCIL programs, as well as creating community-based and sustaining community-based No Wrong Door to early childhood development programs from birth to kindergarten entry. Looking at how do we get line items for those projects. And then two workforce bills. One is the apprenticeship bill that you may remember from last year that HCAN introduced. We're going to help with that one this year. And many people on this call are in partnership on that bill. And then an early childhood personnel clearinghouse funding so that there's one place to go if someone says, you know what, I want to work with young children. They can see the early intervention options, the home visiting options, the childcare, the preschool, the OTPT speech, all of those opportunities. So those are the 4 bills, and we can send them over to Yuko once we get the final list with the description, if that's helpful.
Mahalo. Any other announcements from the public? Okay, well, there's a quote from Steve Jobs that you can read, and I have to close the meeting. It's 4 o'clock. So meeting is adjourned. Mahalo, everybody, and happy holidays.